Hello everybody, welcome back to Suzerain. Let us continue on from where we last left off. So, what do we got? We have a briefing of the current diplomatic situation. Because there is a chance of there being a war, and that seems like it could be a problem. The Blue Mansion of Latvian hosted us for an important diplomatic gathering. There's opening David Wiskel, once a lecturer to me, now Minister of Foreign Affairs, gently made his way towards my desk. May I sit down, Mr. President? Of course, it's a pleasure to see you, Mr. Whiskey. Likewise, we've had so much ahead of us to accomplish. He slowly sat down, taking care not to aggravate the arthritis in his knees. He always had an air of gravitas around him, and old age had only served to deepen that. After he said himself, he regarded me with delight and his blue eyes sparkling. Look at you, Anton, the fourth president of Sordland. What a privilege for me. I swear the first day you took my class at the University of Culture. I remember how hard we worked on the Agnolia trade agreement together? Can't late night of the ministry to finalize. It was an experience for sure. We signed our best trade deal yet, with a good slew of trade advantages over Agnolia. It was even somewhat unfair from my point of view. Somehow, the inexplicable ebb and flow of life has led us here to positions where we can now change the course of history. Everything happens for a reason, David. It's meant to be. Maybe, maybe not. I don't believe in destiny, but sometimes it feels convenient to do so. He started coughing again, this time for longer. Would you like some tea or water? Oh yes, please. Tea and water sounds nice. Thank you very much, he smiled. Livia brought 2 cups of tea along with a glass of water and placed them on the table. It seemed like you still remember how much I like tea. Nowadays, it really does wonders for my throat. You know, how's your wife, Catherine, doing? Oh, my lovely Catherine is energetic as always. Age has hit me harder than her, for sure. She does her best. She still does her daily jogs, unlike me. Nothing can challenge time. Nothing. How's the Rayne family? You know, we're slowly starting to get used to the routine. As time passes, I realize that family is the most important thing in life. We must take care of them. The door opened. Joseph and Lucien joined us for the briefing. The tall case clock hit the hour mark. Peter, however, was missing. I wondered if he was late from all the drinking we did at the party of Latvian. We'll discuss more, President Rayne. Welcome, everybody. How's your travel to Latvian? A little bumpy due to some turbulence. I arrived via military cargo plane. I landed in Latvian International. And I took the train. It was a little slow, but I can still recommend it for the beautiful landscape. Also had some possibilities to work on a couple of things during the ride. From what I heard, it will be much faster in the near future with the L1 high-speed railway is finished. Exactly. It will hopefully be one of our major achievements. Well, since Mr. Vectrin doesn't seem to be coming today, I think we should be ready to start. I think he's not showing up because I don't know if you can have 4 people in a room together. I've only ever seen 3. I'll start by providing a brief overview of our current status with our neighbors. And who would you like to start with? Let's start... Agnolia, Vosland, and Wayland. Who's the one that hates us? Roomberg. They hate us the most. So you want to talk about Agnolia, your Vosland, and I'm guessing you down here. You are Lesbia, and you're Wayland. Unless you're not... Oh, you know what? Let's hear about Agnolia. Our brotherly nation in the northeast, Agnolia. They're still diplomatically not aligned, and probably one of the most democratic... has one of the most democratic systems between our neighbors. Economic stagnation is a worry for them. Their primary issue is their heavy reliance on foreign investment from us. Agnolia is our most friendly neighbor. We've always been allies for the longest time at the Rurenburg Annex Dome. This fact needs to be part of our equation. Unsurprisingly, the Agnolian Prime Minister, Martin van Horten, is expecting better cooperation through our new fair trade deals with us. It is one of his election mandates. A more complicated trade deal sounds beneficial for all sides. Both sides gain from it, but Agnolia has more to win than us. They want to protect their weaker industries, which we are profiting from, and by selling our goods to. Additionally, the largest number indicates that currently 1 million Agno-Sordland citizens live in Agland region of Sordland, which creates a link between foreign policy and our internal affairs. These people have suffered socioeconomically, which leads them to crime and other problems. In addition, a relaxed immigration policy was one of Agnolia's main requests, which is unacceptable. Most of our migrants in our country haven't even assimilated the Swedish culture. Adding more won't help. I'm supportive of relaxed immigration. I would rethink the matter seriously because of the great influence on our society and values. We should remember that we promised to keep our immigration laws relaxed in our election campaign. I find it interesting, again, that all of our ministers have such different ideologies and ideas about how we're going to, like, kind of progress. Like, I'm glad at least that we haven't stuffed all of our cabinet positions with yes men. But anyways, I want to know more about Vogsland. Our cousins of old across the Markian Sea wish to have a good relationship with us. As you know, Vogsland is a socialist republic aligned with United Cartana. They are an important regional player. It's also a significant sea power in Eastern Morcopa. We had hostile relations with them after several wars in the 19th century, which we wouldn't want to experience again. Recently, the relationship has warmed up thanks to Emmerich Hegel. As a result, diplomatic talks can be conducted in the future. Heinrich Hegel is Maxonian politician and communist revolutionary. Serves the Chancellor of the Democratic Republic. Political commissar during the Voxland Revolution. Okay, well, what's that have to do with us? It doesn't matter. It's not easy to think with the great fighter Conrad. Breaking ice with Voxland could be good if we arrive diplomatically. I agree that they could be potential allies in my opinion. The situation in the region necessitates that we find allies. They haven't been in good relations with us for the past 200 years. Recently, they've also joined the Communist Katana and Security Pact, subjugating themselves to United Katana. On top of that, territorial issues flare up between Agnolia and Voxland because of the Hadland Island. The Source Navy is very concerned with the volatile situation. Is that an island we can see? It's going to be this island right here. Okay, so that's kind of the disputed territory. Lucien looks slightly worried. Unfortunately, billions of storage rand worth of cargo is transported close to Vaxlian maritime borders on the Marcaean Sea and the Grey Strait. This causes significant risk to our imports and exports in the case of deterioration of relations. The Straits is of high strategic value to us. Yosef, the Navy is keeping an eye on the situation from a distance, right? We're actively monitoring the sea routes and cargo ships. For now, there's no immediate threat. We don't know what can happen in the future. What's the situation on Wayland? It's much less in the south as always. Wikar Smolak is expanding his powers among protests from Wesdic people. However, he is quite positive about normalization relations between our countries. Reports indicate that they've been warming up to Katana international aid. As you know, Wayland's stability was always a concern for the region. But if we want to help them, we must not treat refugees like we did in the 30s. I still can't stomach the inhumanity of those people suffered. Trading agreement with them could improve stability and increase mutual trade. There are many bargaining chips discussed, but Wayland could be a new partner in the region. We should also invest in stability there. Our main goal should be to avoid the refugee crisis like in the late 1920s. That civil war was a major security and economic repercussions on Sordis soil. One of the demands of President Smolak was to tighten our immigration laws so the political refugees don't escape into Sordland. There have been a recent purge that pushed many Bloodish to flee to Bergia. It is definitely troubling. German outpost has regained its importance due to this. I'm sure you remember that winter at the border outpost, Mr. President. He was right. I do remember that winter. I remember how cold it was when I let the refugees slip through. I was discharged from my duties as a result by my major. I put him in charge. Like, come on now. Joseph Lesia. No less, spending the rest of my service cleaning toilets and sleeping in a cell. In fact, why would he put me into, like, prison? Why would I make him the head of the military? Anyways, in fact, there have been similar refugee situations in the past. Even Mr. President himself chose to disobey direct orders from his commanding officer at the time. I did what was right. Soldiers do not side what is right. Soldiers do as they're told to do. He opened his mouth to continue, but Deviant cut in. Our focus should be on the current matters. The Bloodish minority has the very large side of Wayland too. This is an important factor to consider. It is in our national interest to prevent the formation of a failed state on our western border. Wayland has been increasingly aligning itself towards the Communist Alliance, another point to analyze. So let's move on. Two important neighboring countries remain, Lesbia and Rumburg, which we'd like to hear about first. Lesbia we don't know as much about. A southern neighbor is aligning itself more and more with Arcasia. Latvia is currently led by President Patricio Alvarez. They are the jewel of the continent and the second largest economy in Marcopa. Though wealthy, Latvia suffers from excessive economic inequality. Our past relations have been great but during the last decade, their investments in Sordland dwindled due to our instability. Latvia is a sleeping giant. We should not awake them. They surely are a powerful nation, which has not meddled in the region for a long time, with the exception of Wayland. Let's not antagonize them. I am certain that the recession has a lot to do with their retraction of investments. Once they see the money isn't in the picture, they vanish rather quickly because they are capitalist. They have shown a selfish attitude during the Wayland Civil War by closing their borders and funneling refugees to cross into Sordland. Lucian clears his throat. Our values are too different for Latvia. It's hard to see eye to eye. I completely agree. Latvia has, for a long time, benefited from us through our old tariffs. They are after exploitation. I mean, they're exploiting us. We're exploiting Agnolia in the north. So it's kind of like a symbiotic bond in like a weird roundabout way. There are hundreds of very privileged oligarchs who invest inside and outside Latvia. They've made significant business investments in the cities of Benfi and Velograd. What about the situation with Rumburg? Now, the most troublesome nation, Rumburg, a constitutional monarchy led by Queen Beatrice Livingston. A highly advised caution and calculated action against Rumburg. Our military must be prepared. The threat is real. They are strong and they have the motivation, as well as the means, to damage us. We shouldn't give them any reason to pursue aggression. We must prevent them from intervening in our affairs. They've shown similar behavior to their neighboring countries before, but we must be cautious. While Thornburg openly denies such claims, their past and current actions made it clear that they wanted to stabilize us. The weapons caches found by our intelligence agency clearly shows what their goals are. Our military must be steadfast and our diplomacy valiant. Joseph looks stern and full of resolve. The Rumburg threat is one of our top priorities. You can be sure of that. We are always in dialogue with our Rumburg ambassador to make sure the channel is open to solve disputes. We could use their aggressive attitude against them by convincing the international community. Lucian grabbed the Latvian Times newspaper, put his finger on an article with the latest diplomatic incident. Their abrupt announcement about the closure of the Rumburg consulate in Latvian is yet another step in their escalation. This cover is the overview of the current situation. You'll move on to our trade choice in response to Rumburg's diplomatic escalation. The sun began to set over the hills surrounding Latvian. The team is ready to give advice on a new trade initiative in response to the latest diplomatic incident with Rumburg. You can have 4 people! Peter's arrived. Peter arrived late and a little rougher than usual. Must have been drinking from last night. Hey there, folks. Excuse my delay. I'm sure I didn't miss anything we didn't already know. You're still supposed to be part of the meeting, also on time. Punctuality is important. We're talking about serious subject matter here. I'm just going to stay silent here. I stood in silence, which prompted Peter to answer them. It was a one-time thing. Let's just get on with it. Let's just get on with it, okay? Lucy and Joseph looked at Peter for Dervid, moved away from the subject. The vice president will be part of the trade delegation, so it's great to have the input of the subject, but also on the Rumburg incident. There are 2 issues at hand. Which topic should we tackle first? We should address the diplomatic incident. Rumburg Consul Sir Brand Harrington announced the closure of the 120-year-old consulate. Now their diplomatic staff is leaving the city to go back to Thornborough. He blamed the lack of security in Sordland due to the assassination and the subsequent protest, but it's obvious that they are making excuses. Bastards! First they closed the consulate, and now they blame our security? Security situation is under control. They're playing with us. Isn't it just telling the other countries they're working with us while Rumburg is trying to cut more ties with us? The neglect of President Alfonso and the chaos of the elections delayed our diplomatic efforts. Now there are only 2 Rumburg diplomatic missions left in Sordland. One is the consulate in Deer, and the other is the embassy in Hofsord. We are accustomed to the usual rhetoric, but this is far more serious. They are playing with fire. Look at what they did with the Wayland. Look at what the Wayland destabilization has done to the region. Sordland breaking apart would tear Marcopa apart. My entire career, I've never seen a Rumburg relation suffer this much. The previous low point was the annexation of Dome. Where is Dome? Do I know where Dome is? Dome's up here, so they probably annex like this area, maybe from Magnolia. Joseph Lucy was furious. He barely kept himself from slamming the desk. There are worrying developments, like the smuggled arms and buildup near the border. Our military must be buffed up to stand against a regional power like Rumburg. We either respond to this aggressive act with diplomatic condemnation, or we retaliate by closing our consulate in Dome. I want to say that escalation could be risky this early in our presidency. We should focus on creating a negative image of Rumburg in the international scene. The people of Sordland must be protected no matter the cost. I say we respond equally. I'm not going to go full out. I think we just write an official diplomatic response condemning its unreasonable act. Declare that Rumburg aims to destabilize Sordland and the region. As you as Mr. President, I shall begin work immediately informing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Swaying the international stage is the key in long-term strategy. I wish we had reacted more strongly. If we don't confront them, they will keep escalating the situation. On the other hand, I'm glad we're taking the more cautious road. We should move on to the new trade initiative. Our primary goal is to successfully sign a trade agreement with one of our smaller neighbors. We have two options for our trade initiatives. Start with the new negotiations with our old part Agnolia, form a new cooperation with Wayland. Yeah, let's talk about Agnolia first. First off, the reason behind this option is more diplomatic than economic. Although, of course, we can't forgo the added economic value. Agnolia is an old ally and a valuable trade partner. The point we're at with the early negotiations around the steel trade, they are demanding that we buy their steel for a higher price. They think that is because they think that the deal is far too unbalanced as it is. Their second main demand is a privileged access to our agricultural market. If we are to fulfill their demands, in return they're offering full alliance with Sordland against Rumburg. Looking at the current situation in advance of Rumburg near our borders, having a coalition against Rumburg would prove extremely useful. Obviously, there are consequences for entering a full alliance. Mainly, the issue is around the Hagi Islands. Vasland has clear intentions on taking over the island one way or another. Entering a military alliance with Agnolia will make them furious. I want to state my support for the decision to stick to our old ally Agnolia. Even though I disagree with their demands to relax immigrations, we have cooperated with them on many issues in the past. Agnolia is a solid partner for us. The aviator president worked on the previous comprehensive trade agreement in the 30s. They are obviously subject that we will need to still tackle, like our economics, trade goods, and what to do with the immigration. My opinion is that this is a good deal and we should go for it. The new Angolian Prime Minister is trying to improve the existing relationship. The downside is that we need to make concessions, a reality of any trade deal. So, I mean, this is an interesting choice, I would say. So, if we ally ourselves with them, it'll maybe stop Rumburg, but it could anger this dude, who we know has a very important... Where's the Gray Straits? Here. Like, these are important sea zones. And we know that they got a pretty powerful navy. They got, like, an anchor on their flag. So... like, this... I like the choices the game makes you make. I don't think we can position ourselves against Vasland. It's certainly a valid reason. If you decide Angnolia is a good option, another point is that we have a very democratic system. Or that they have a very democratic system. After the recent elections, the PM has mandated to arrange fair deals with us. Martin Van Horten is an avid supporter of relaxed immigration. Since we said we would keep immigration relaxed, it would help us. Regardless, if we're going to increase the regional influence to previous levels, we might need to make amends for with our neighbors. Ultimate decision is up to you as always. Tell me how to trade deal with Wayland. Dealing with a fractured country like Wayland has its positives and negatives. Although it would be lucrative in the short term, there are risks associated with dealing with such a country. They're proposing co-investment projects and a no-tariff agreement. They're also offering oil in return to attracting foreign capital interest in Sordland. However, it's possible that there will be international ramifications for getting closer to a country like Wayland. All in all, this is a very lucrative deal for us. We need to think about the consequences. I certainly don't support the decision to become friendlier with Wayland. We carried their burden for decades. Their migrants flooded the country, and now they're expecting a deal from us. Maintaining the influence of Wayland could prove useful. Yes, it is risky, but think about the influence. Think about our influence on an undeveloped nation like that. We could also sell our products and enter the market easily. I'm in the opinion that it's simply too risky. Yes, we'd gain resources and immediate capital, but I'm afraid of the consequences. It is risky. I tend to agree. If we wish to go forward with a deal when the time comes, there's a topic of immigration to consider. Bekar Samalak is a known isolationist. Our promise to keep the immigration relaxed will not help at all. He blames us for bringing Western interests to the region. He also doesn't want his political opponents to flee here. I personally don't like the idea of getting too close to Wayland. Everybody is mostly against it. Since we still do not propose to align with either the East or the West, it's very likely that their concerns will be more around the deal itself. We also need to consider the effects of our economic doctrine and plan. The fact that we are heading towards planned economy will have an influence. Good negotiations optimize the interests, which makes the differences become trivial, allowing both sides to reach a deal. Very true, Mr. Vectrin. We have a lot of time to prepare for the scheduled visits to Wayland and Agnolia. I believe this gives a brief overview of the current situation. Our trade delegation will begin work towards the end of the year. We expect the final negotiating and the signing to happen next year. I'm very much looking forward to visiting Stoutport and Raklowitz, like party ammos like David and Simon. Haha! Peter laughed. Joseph narrowed his eyes and stared at him. Well, that concludes our meeting, Mr. Rayne. Have a good day and enjoy Latvian. I will take my leave then, sir. The meeting concluded and the team dispersed. Our diplomatic action plan officially began. I like Wayland. I don't really know. We got another briefing right now, but I do think this is going to be a good time for us to end this video. So thanks for watching, my Anthnwam. If you've enjoyed, my thumbs up. Not doing, thumbs down. You want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.